Hi guys, welcome to another video from Mobile Gaming, and today we're just doing a quick look, a little retro review of Mercenaries Playgrounds of Destruction, primarily because my work hours have changed and I haven't got as much time to do anything this week, which is especially galling as the next review I want to get out is on a game that's going to take at least 100 hours, so you can probably guess what that one is, no shocker there. Yeah, it kind of has scuppered my plans for this week. So we're just doing a little retro review as a stopgap measure, mostly just so I've got content coming out for you lovely people. And yes, Mercenaries Playgrounds of Destruction is a game that came out in 2005. I played it originally on the PS2. My dad got it and was kind enough to let me play it. I took the disc and played it, is what I mean to say. This is the Xbox version you're looking at. This is being played on Xbox One, which I do believe benefits it in terms of upscaling. So, very nice. And it really is a game that's defied its age, because what was that, 2005 it came out? Originally on Xbox and PS2, so it's a fairly old game. Getting on for 20 years now. But it plays still very nicely. If it was released today, you criticise the graphics and some of the control conventions weren't sort of standard at that point, but you wouldn't really sort of say the gameplay felt archaic, because it doesn't. There's a few bits and pieces in it which you're like, yeah, a modern one would have this, but it still plays really nicely. So let's just dig into like the bits that sort of set it apart in terms of like how old it is against newer games. The driving, they've got accelerate on A and decelerate on X. That obviously normally you would have the triggers, you do that these days, so like my brain's hardwired to that, so it's a little bit distracting when you first start playing it, but one of the worst aspects of that is you have missions where you have to get from point A to point B within a time limit, and if you get out of the car you fail, and the left trigger makes you get out of the car. So if you're not got your brain in the right gear and you go to decelerate and you press the left trigger instead of X, or square, whatever, then you obviously get out of the car and fail the mission, which is a bit annoying, but I only did it once, so I learnt my lesson, so it's not too bad. Also, I wasn't able to find any way of like zooming in the aim. I'm not sure if that's a me problem though. That could very much be a me problem, because obviously I don't have Dad's PS2 version of it, and I bought a digital copy off the Xbox store to replay it, so yeah, I don't have the instructions, so I might just be missing out and I've missed something and not paid attention properly. I think there is like a control guide in the game, but I'm a man, it's like asking directions, I just don't do that. So you play one of three characters. You've got Chris Jacobs, who is voiced by Phil Lamar, very reputable voice actor there. Matthias Nielsen, who's voiced by Peter Stormare, who is an awesome actor in his own right. And then Jennifer Wu, who is played by the queen of voice actors, Jennifer Hell, obviously FemShep, being probably her most iconic role, shall we say. So the voice acting across the board is good. Those are the three sort of big names in it, but like all the rest of the voice acting is fine. Interestingly enough, you've got characters that are fluent in the different languages of the factions. So that's a nice little change up there. I like that. It's very was it Metal Gear that did that? Metal Gear 5? You had different languages? I can't remember. Anyway, so what's happened is North Korea have been some baddie boys, and one of their freighters has been discovered carrying nuclear weapons to various terrorist factions. And so the Allied Nations, I guess the game's version of the United Nations, maybe that's trademarked, I don't know, decide to invade and put a stop to all the nuclear tomfoolery that is going on there. And obviously war breaks out inside of North Korea, and because like the rest of the world is like, well, I want some of that North Korean as well, they invade as well. So you've got, I think it's 4 factions. So you've got the Allied Nations, you've got the South Koreans, China and the Russian mafia. Is that the good Russians nowadays, or is that the bad Russians nowadays? Because if they're bad to Russians, but the Russians are bad to political monopoly, no, you don't do that. Anyway, so you've got the 4 factions in there. You start off as part of the tutorial doing a job for each, which basically gets you your contacts with each faction. Each faction has a gauge of how much they like you, because obviously some of the factions aren't fond of one another. So like the Chinese and the South Koreans aren't particularly fond of each other, at least in game. I think in real life as well, but I don't live in either of those countries, so I couldn't tell you for sure. So you may get, instead of a mission against the North Koreans, you may get it against the Chinese if you go to your South Korean contact. And that would take your bar down. I've just gotten hiccups out of nowhere, which is very annoying. Hopefully it's just a couple there, hopefully. So by doing missions against the Chinese, obviously they like you less for it because you're blowing up their shit in quite large amounts, and will eventually just be outwardly hostile to you. Now you can go to your contact and pay amount of fee so that you can get them to like you again by giving them money. I like people that give me money, so it makes sense to me. And you will have to do that later in the game because some of the main military targets. So you've got, I better explain really, aren't I? You've got what's called the Deck of 52, which is obviously representative of the North Korean military, and obviously as you go up, like the numbers and the face cards, they get progressed more important and more importantly worth more as a bounty. But you only get the top tier ones assigned to you via contracts from the various factions, so you will have to make nice at some point. But you know, you don't have to do all the missions for it. It's fine. Just go kill everybody. Wonderful. So as you're completing missions, stealing cars, doing shit like that, you're getting given money to spend, and you can spend it on vehicles, you can spend it on weapons, or you can spend it on support items during your missions. The support items during missions I'm very mixed on because they cost a lot of money. If you need to destroy, say, 5 buildings and you don't have enough ammo for your RPG or whatever, so you need to resort to your support items, very quickly you could actually be operating at a loss on that mission, even if you succeed. So that's always to be taken care of. I think like an artillery strike is like 40 grand. Ouch. That's a lot of money when you're getting paid 100 grand for the mission, and it's an especially lot of money if you've got like 4 or 5 targets. Just saying. I would have liked to have seen sort of maybe the cost of that reduced. It would make me use them more because I try and not use them. I try and like find ammo for RPGs and take them down that way if it's like buildings and shit. So, but I mean, it's just one of those things. It's a game mechanic, and you know, it's not hugely distracting, but you know, it does make me kind of reticent to really go sort of all out and have that playground of destruction feel. They did release a sequel to it, which was not as good. I didn't play much of it, I must admit. I have played it, but many moons ago. Maybe I should pick it up and give it another go and have a realistic comparison between the two. Maybe there's something I do. But one of the nice things about this is normally when you play a game this old, you can tell it's a game this old. It's, what, 18 years old? It's old enough to drink in this country. And, yes, I don't know where that was going, because games don't drink, but okay. But this one, it still plays really nicely. It's such a good time. It really is, and you will get to the point where you're just like, I know this is 18 years old, but I would buy it if it came out today, which is ironic because I kind of did, but cheap. Yeah, it's not expensive. I think it's about £10 on the Xbox store, and I believe there are many discs floating around eBay that you can pick up for the PS2. That was the only 2 consoles it was released on at all. I'm, playing on the older Xbox. I didn't even emulate it, because emulating the Xbox is not it's not particularly hard, but like getting it behaving itself is, I found. But whatever. But the second one did come out on PC, so maybe I'll get it on PC and give it a go. And also,
hey you, over here.
Because this was published by LucasArts, it is also possible to unlock Indiana Jones and Han Solo as playable characters.
Thanks for
There you go.
finding me. Let's get out of here.
Not the differences are only skins, though, apparently. I've never done it. I think perhaps it was cheat codey. Maybe I could do it if I want, but yeah, that's the thing. Anyway, guys, I'm going to pull up there, but like, if you've never played Mercenaries, then I would highly recommend you do. It's not expensive. It's available on, you know, two of the most popular consoles that were ever out, and that being the 360 and the PS2. No, it was Xbox. It was original Xbox, so beg your pardon. But it's playable on backwards compatibility, as I say, or on a PS2 or a PS2 emulator if you want to go and get the disc. Or there are alternate methods, but I'm sure you're aware of what those are. But for the price of this, I'd rather pay the price of it, really. I mean, as far as I know, the developers, who are Pandemic, by the way, they've done some particularly good games, so well done to them. So as far as I know, if I pay on the Xbox store, then they get a chunk of that money. Probably not as much as Microsoft, but hopefully some. Whereas obviously if you eBay it, then they don't for the PS2 version. But, you know, they should release digitally then, shouldn't they? I'm not sure where if they have or not. You may have a look on the PlayStation store. Maybe they have, but I mean, Sony, they've probably marked up about 75%. Anyway, guys, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know downstairs in the comments what you thought of the game, and do you want me to have a look at Mercenaries 2? I'll take a look if you want. I might take a look anyway, to be fair. I mean, it can't be that bad. Okay. I remember it not being as good, but I can't remember why it wasn't as good. I mean, on paper it sounds better, but maybe it just didn't recapture the magic for me. Maybe that's it. Anyway, guys, take it easy, and I'll catch you next time.